You would have seen that driving through this property, there's a lot of fire on the ground, and there's often one side of the road burnt, the other side's not. And this is a great spot where we've had a really recent fire. And Greg talked to you briefly about that being really important for changing vegetation communities. And the main thing is that you actually just removed and reset everything to ground zero. And there's a lot of annuals and species that need a lot of light that are going to grow up now, and potentially a little bit more moisture, which often happens. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? There's more moisture after a fire. Why is that? Anybody know the answer to that? You just burn it all off, steamed it. Why is there suddenly more moisture on the fire many times? Not saying?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Nothing to use it.
Nothing to use it, yeah. So there's no transpiration. There's really limited amount of leaf out here actually pushing all that water back into the air. So you can actually find that the moisture on a fire, after a fire, is higher in the soil than on the other side where all those plants are still transpiring. So that allows all these seeds to germinate, many sedges, and there is what? 400 plant species in these flatwoods down here? Approximately? Maybe or more. Yes. And so when people ask what is quail food out here and what are quail eating, that's a complex question. And you often think there's a lot of seed, need a lot of seed. The seed that you often see in their crop will be hard seed that's left there. Here's a soft fruit. So what's this? Anybody know?
Huckleberry.
Blueberry?
Huckleberry,
Yep.
blueberry.
That's a blueberry?
Yeah.
And so the fruiting of some of these plants is also stimulated by fire, and you'll get a lot more seed set and a lot more fruit after fire in a few months. And that's one of the things these quail are keying in on to for actual breeding as well. And so if you don't have these resources, your population's not going to do as well. And so around here, everybody's got to walk around, and you actually got to do something. You've got to go and find a plant that has a seed or fruit on it. You can do it in little groups. Go over there, and over there, and then come back with something. At least one. All right? And we want to talk about. Come back with one. Come back with something. Post-fire flowering too. They fire a lot more than any of them. The milkweed. All out to look for a plant or quail food. If you're interested in that, you brought back almost every single person a unique plant.
Yeah.
There is hardly a double up here. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? You might have a double up.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
And the flatwoods are one of the most diverse plant ecosystems in the U.S., so we're really lucky here in Florida. And I don't pretend to know all of these species, but you can find, you know, in a little area, you could find up to 25 species just in one little spot on the ground. So they're pretty neat places to work.
And we don't know the answer to this, and I don't know if anybody fully here does, but a lot of these are quail food plants. Not all of them, but a lot of them are pretty special plants in their own right. So we can start with a couple here, and we can sort of describe what sort of groups they're in. So here's a classic one that you would have seen all through the wetlands all the time.
Yes. And there's actually 4 or 5 or maybe even more species that look like this, and we call them bog buttons or bachelor buttons. This particular one, I think, is the scientific name is Lacnocolin anceps, but there's lots and lots of things that look like this.
And, and if you pass this around, you don't have to remember it. Remember Bog Button, that's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Okay, Bog Button. But look at the top of it. Is this a single flower or many flowers? You pass it around. So think about the size. Think about the size of the seed on that, and whether or not it's actually nutritious for quail or not. So here's another group of things we can put together, I suppose. We put those
Yeah.
all together, and you can.
These little grasses, you can call them panicums or panic grasses. The scientific name is Dicanthelium. Again, we have like probably 10 to 12 species of these in Florida, so they're really hard to identify. But they're cute little grasses. Just call them panic grasses.
And if you've watched quail in the field, they will eat those.
You bet.
And they'll go along, and they're perfect height. Like just nibble, and they don't have to go far, and you've got 30 or 40 seeds to
These are
pick
seeds, not flowers.
Yes,
Yeah,
those
they're
are
seeds. I don't know how many of these we've got.
Okay. This one, a lot of people have seen around. This is called rabbit tobacco. Has anyone ever smoked it? I've never have, but I guess you can try that someday if you want.
Smoked a little pot, but I don't know what that. I ain't smoked no rabbit tobacco.
Let's dry it out and try it.
So this plant, I don't know, there's a few around here. I don't know how many of these soft fruits ever get eaten by the quail. Have you seen them going into any of these sorts of things?
them in private.
I don't think so in this. But so this is a plant that's out there. It looks fun, but it's not really a quail food. I want to go that little thing.
Okay, this little yellow flower is, I think they call it, these ones might be called bachelor buttons too. You might see orange ones of these, or big yellow poofy ones. These are really special in Florida. A lot of them are only found in Florida. This is Polygula nana. These are one of my favorite genuses of plants. I don't know if quail eat them.
So this is also not a single flower. So there's hundreds of flowers in here. That's hundreds of seeds on the top. So if you can get through the roughage, you could take it in one mouthful and chew it all up. But there's a lot of rough in there. So. That one's probably,
Okay, Queen's Delight. This has a sappy, white sap. So if you break the leaf, it looks like a milkweed. And it does have some fruits on the top of it, so maybe it's good for quail.
It is.
Euphorbia.
Yeah, it is. Euphorbia is the family.
They do eat that here. And we're going through just major groups of plants. So
Yeah. Oh, this is a scleria. So the slough grass that Raoul mentioned, there's a special type of sedge called scleria, and they have almost like golf ball looking seeds inside. So if you see anything with a white golf ball seed, that is a scleria or a slough grass. That one's not ripe, so it doesn't look bright white, but they will look very bright white when they're ripe.
this really, what species is it?
We wouldn't know what you told us anyway.
There are many
Just
of
remember
these. There are
bluegrass.
many.
Soybeans.
Yeah.
So these. There's some. You want to do any more on your hand right now?
Okay, this one that you've seen around, this is a lily, and it's called Colic Fruit. I think it flowered after the fire. So like Raoul said, after the fire you see a lot of things like this flowering. And then, yeah, these are anything that you see with like multiple leaflets like that, or like this one leaf has multiple leaflets, that's usually a legume. So both of these are legumes, high protein, cattle love them. I think quail would like them too.
Yeah. This one's partridge pea, real fresh. And that's all through here. I've seen it fantastic through here. And you'll see them with hanging seed pods. So often with multiple seeds in a pod. And they'll open up and they'll start to pop when they dry. The seeds can
What did you say that was?
Partridge
Oh,
pea.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's also a legume. I'm not sure what kind. That might be Chapmanii.
So this vetch is a partridge pea?
This is another legume, so you can see the leaflets on the leaves.
Is this the one you were asking specifically about?
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm not sure which one that one is.
What would you call it?
I just called it a legume. Like
It's
a-
not a hairy indigo.
It kind of looks like that to me. Yeah,
We're trying
it's
to-
hairy.
we're
I'm not
trying to
sure
ask.
what. I'm not
I
completely
don't
sure.
see how it would.
Yeah.
And you'll see a lot of these around here. They're all through the woods flowering right now.
This is yellow-eyed grass. This, when you see the little flowers with 3 yellow petals, that's a xyris, which is the genus, or yellow-eyed grass. And it has like a cone on the top, so it looks like a little pine cone.
The hairy indigo would have a red flower though, right?
Yes.
They said this one would have a yellow flower.
Okay. So then that means it's not hairy indigo. Yeah, probably.
There are a variety of obviously daisy-like plants out here, but also sunflowers. These sunflowers which provide seed sources for quail. There's not many flowering right now, and they're often flowering later in the fall. But
Yeah. I think this is called white top aster.
yeah. And then it's almost like the only plant that came back that wasn't really a food source was a little oak. This is probably runner oak. And so this is Quercus minima. It doesn't grow very high most of the time, especially put fire over it. It'll only get to this high. It's the smallest oak. It has the largest acorn. I don't know if you've seen the acorns on these. They can be about this long. Here's a question down here. What's important about this oak for quail? Any of you quail guys see anything with it? Cover. You find nests in this too when it gets dense? Yeah. So this runner oak, when it's actually around here, but I've seen them on scrub edges, and you get a lot of this low runner oak in the sort of higher open areas, and the quail will be nesting in amongst runner oak quite a lot. So it doesn't have a really dense top canopy necessarily, but they can get right in underneath it, and it can have a very dense low level structure, and what quail obviously like to nest in. I think that gives you a good idea of the diversity of food sources that are out here and come when you put burns on. A lot of these things are here now, and they're fresh to eat, and they're flowering and seeding right now up to this fire. That's an important thing to note. The other part, which Greg also mentioned, is that when you have a lot of these fresh growths of grasses and just about any other material out here, it actually attracts insects to it as well. So they're using it to eat on, lay their larvae on, and caterpillars are chewing away on it. So the density of invertebrate fauna is going to be increasing on these burn units a lot, especially at quail height, so they can actually get to it easily.